Hi everyone! Welcome to the ninth episode of XCA ByteCast, a series of bite-sized tips and tricks that can be implemented into any of your project. In this video, we're going to add localization to a news app using the new iOS 18 Translation API. It supports offline and on-device real-time translation with global language availability, such as Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Hindi, Indonesia, Russia, and so many more. Okay, so let me show you the demo of the complete project. So let me begin from the detail screen. So I'm going to show you the single string translation with the system UI. So here I have the content and the button. Here when I tap this, it shows present the system UI sheet where we can translate. Here it translates using the Chinese. So the detected source language is English. So in here we can also change to whatever language that we want. Okay, so I change to Indonesia, and then I can also replace the translation and the UI will get updated with the translated content. Okay, so this is the single string translation. So next one, I'm going to show you the batch translation with the custom UI. So here we have the custom picker UI for the target translation. So let's say I select Japanese. It should translate all the article inside this list. Okay, so let me tap translate. Boom, it translates all the article to Japanese. Okay, and let me try to change to Russia. Translate. Nice. And maybe Hindi. Nice. Wow, this is very amazing, right? Or maybe Korea. Okay, so this is the project that we will be implementing in this ByteCast 9. And if you want to code along with me, please download the starter project from the GitHub repository link that I have provided in the description below. Okay, so let me just close this iPhone mirroring. Okay, so I have opened the starter project in here. So let me give you a quick walkthrough of the starter project. So for the model, here we have the article struct. So it contains are the properties and the computer properties that will be used to display the article in the article card view in the row of the list. And here is the article stubs. This is basically just a static file to load the stub article from this news.json. Okay, so we don't have to make a network API call for this bytecast. And the article store, this is just for storing the articles that will be displayed in this article list view. Okay, so it will be displayed inside this scroll view for each using the article car view. So the article car view has two styles, list and detail. Okay, and this is the starter project, and let's begin our implementation of the translation, beginning from the single translation inside the article card view using the detail style. Let me just close the preview as we won't be able to use translation API with the simulator. Okay, so let's begin by declaring a stat private var show translation in detail screen. So this is just a boolean to determine whether we should show the system UI translation sheet. Next one is state private var translated detail content text. Okay, this is just an optional string that we will use to show the replaced translation in the UI. And next one, let's go to the detail case. So let's begin from here. Okay, so let's declare a button, okay, with a closure, and the title is translate content, and in here we just need to invoke show translation detail screen. Let's just toggle this. And next one, here in the text, we need to basically use ternary in here. So if the translated detailed content text is available, we're going to use that. Otherwise, we're going to fall back to the article.content. Okay. And next one, we need to attach the system UI sheet translation and bind the boolean using this. I need to basically import translation to enable that modifier, import translation. So this is only available in iOS 18. So now we're going to be able to access this translation presentation. So it's the percentage we're going to bind this show translation detail screen state, and then we need to basically pass the text that we want to translate, which is the article.content. Okay, and then we need to pass the closure containing the translated text as the parameter. So this will be invoked when the user tap on the replace text. So it will pass us the translated text, and then we can store this in translated detailed content text, the translated text. So when we update this, it's going to render this. Okay, looks good. Now we can simply try this. So you need to use a real iPhone device with iOS 18. Okay, iPhone or iPad. So let me just build using my iPhone in here, and I'm going just to use this mirroring. Okay, so here it is, the app. Now let's go to this translate content and tap. Okay, it presents the system UI translation sheet that we can use to translate. We can change the language if we want, and then click this replace with translation to update the UI. Okay, looks nice. And I think in here, let me just add a padding, horizontal and top, to add a bit of space in here. Okay, and that's it for the single string translation with the system UI sheet. Now let's go to the article list view to implement the batch translation with the custom UI. Okay, the first thing that we are going to do is to declare a new model available language. Okay, so for this, I'm just going to copy and paste the model. So this is basically the struct that represent the language that we will show and let users to select from the picker, the article list view. The code itself is from the Apple translation app sample code. Okay, so here it has this ID and the locale.language. Okay, there are several uh, methods that we can use to display this in the picker letter. Okay, so this is for the available language. And next one, let's move on to the article store to begin the implementation. Okay, for the batch translation. Now let me just stop this, and let's begin by declaring import translation at the top, and let's declare properties that we're going to use for this batch translation. First one is the is translating. So based on this boolean, where we will going to determine whether we're going to display the redacted placeholder view or not. Okay, the default value is false. And then so currently the article list view is using this articles array to display the articles. So we are going to make this computed. Okay, and we're going to change this to source articles. Okay, so this is the original one, And then next one, we're going to declare translated articles. So this will be a tuple. Okay, basically the first value is this label, the language, the article, target article, and the translated article, which is an array. Okay, and this is optional. And now we can update these var articles to compute it. So basically it's going to be very simple. If the translated articles exist, then we are going to use that. Otherwise we're going to use the original source articles. Okay, and next one is the main configuration for the cell translation, which is the translation session configuration. Okay, translation session dot configuration, a class that performs translation between a pair of language, source and target. Okay, so this will be optional itself. And next one, we are going to have an array called available language that we will use to show in the picker the language that the user can select to translate to. So this will be array of available language. Default value is empty array. And next one is the source language that we are going for the translation. So for this app, we already know that the source API will always return the English. Okay, so I'm going to initialize this with the locale language and identifier. I will pass en, which is English. Okay, for the source language. And next one is the target language. I'm going to give the name of selected to locale.language. This will be optional. Okay, and I'm going to actually initialize this with the default language using this language, and I'm going to initialize using this language code script region. For the language code, I'm going to use Japanese as the default, script nil, and region Japanese as well, Japan. Okay, so this is the default target language. And the next one is I'm going to basically declare a computed var to determine the language that will be used for the relative depth formatter and the caption text. Because we won't be translating that, we will use the internal relative depth formatter and then pass the language code. Okay, so this will determine the value that we will pass to that, the caption. For example, that 5 days ago, 2 minutes ago, we'll be using that to show the based on the selected local language. Okay, so this is the local language. So here the logic, if the translated lang, which is the trans articles, this exists, and the selected to exists as well, and the translated language equal with the selected to. In this case, we are going to just return the translated language. Okay, otherwise we're just going to use the source language, which is English. Okay, and next one is the init. In here I'm going to create a task to basically load the supported language for the translation API. For that, we can use this supported languages. We need to use await in here and use this language availability. Okay, and then for supported language, so this is async, right? So this is a list of language that's supported by the translation API, and we're going to filter this. Okay, because we already know we won't be translating to English because the source is already English. So if the language code identifier is not equal to en, only in that case we will be supporting the target too. Okay, and the next one is the available language. We need to map this supported language dot map. We can use that available language and then pass the locale in here, and let's just invoke sorted to sort this properly. And then we just need to assign this. So let me just change this to self.available language. Okay, so far so good, we'll succeeded. And next one is the method trigger translation. So this will be invoked when the user tap on the translate button. So here we have the several logic. If the configuration length ID, which is the configuration target language code dot identifier, okay, and that configuration language ID is not equal to the selected to dot language code dot identifier, then in that case we're going to initialize the configuration with the init source target. Source is the source length and target is the selected to. Okay, also here, else if the configuration is nil, in that case we're just going to use this as well. Maybe you can combine both of these using or, but for now let's just use else if. Okay, and then in that case else we can just invalidate. Okay, so this will invalidate the current translation and then rerun it again. Okay, and then next one, the method that will perform the batch is this translate batch, and then using session, which is the translation session. So we will use a special modifier for this translation task later in the article list view. Okay, so this is async. So here it's going to be quite simple actually. First, let's just kick the task in the main actor. Okay, and then in here we need to check guard let target language exists. We can get it from the session target language, else we just return. Okay, in here let's just set the translator cycle back to nil to reset this, and then set the is translating to true, so we can show the redirected placeholder later. Okay, and first we need to make the request for translation beginning from the title. So if you see here in the UI, we are displaying the UI, the article card list using this title as well as the description. So we're going to translate those two. First one is the title request. So this will be we can use the articles dot map, and then in this we can initialize translation session dot request. Okay, passing the source text, which is the title. And next one is the description request. Again, we can use the articles.map and then map this to translation session.request. Source text is the description of the article, description text. Okay, and now let's do try catch in here. In the catch we just said it's translating to false, also in here. Okay, actually I can put it in here, and in the catch I can just print the error, the localized description. So I want to stop the translating boolean. Okay, so in the do block, let's begin the implementation by invoking title responses and then use try await session translations from. Okay, so this accepts an array. So in here, we're going to pass the title request. And let's also do the same for the description response and pass the description request. Okay, and next we need to map this. So let's basically use enumerated.map so we can get the index of the article. And then in here, basically we can simply copy the article from this parameter. And then we need to just update those two property. First one is the title, which we can get from the title responses. And the order is maintained, so we can pass the index and get the target text, which is the translated text. And next one is the article, the description. We can just basically get from description responses, index, target text. Okay, there you go. And finally, we need to update these translated articles to assign the type, which is the first one is the language, the target language, as well as the translated articles. Okay, nice. We have implemented this. Let's try to build first, make sure there is no problem. Okay, the build succeeded. Now we can move to the article list view. Article list view to implement the picker. So for the picker itself, in this scroll view, we need to check first if the store available language is not empty. Okay, we're going to display using h tag text target and then declare the picker with the label of target as well, and the selection will be this store.selected to. Okay, and in here we just need to use for each passing store.available language is already confirmed to identifiable, and then the view provider get the language and just declare the text that we are going to display, which is the using language.localized name, and then we need to attach the tag. Okay, using this optional language.locale. Okay, that's it for the picker. And one more thing is we want to disable this when the translating is being performed. Okay, we don't want the user to change that while it's translating to avoid any inconsistency in the UI, as well as some rest condition. And next one, let's just declare the button to translate, and then in here we need to invoke store trigger translation, which will just reinitialize this configuration, okay, or invalidate it. And again, we need to disable this when the store is translating, and I'm going to set the button style to bordered prominent. Okay, let me clean up the formatting a bit. The thing that I'm going to add is the toolbar in here. I'm going to add a button to reset the content. In this, it's going to be very simple. I'm just going to set translated articles to nil. Okay, so it will just display the source articles, and then I'm going to also disable this when the store is translating. And next, this is the thing that I mentioned before, the translation task modifier. So it adds a task to perform before the view appears or when the translation configuration changes. So when we tap the translate button, the configuration is being updated, right, or invalidated, and it will trigger this translation task. Okay, so in here we need to pass the store.configuration, and it will give us the session which we can use to perform the await store dot translates batch passing the session. Or we can just remove this and use this for the syntactic sugar. Okay, there you go for the implementation of this. So let me run this again to test. Okay, resume. Okay, we have this. The UI is a bit. So I think what I mean is just to add this translate button is below this, beside the speaker. Okay. Okay, now it looks good. Now we can try to tap on the translate. Nice, it's being translated to Japanese. We haven't implemented the redacted modifier and also this publish at that using the relative depth formatter. We will do that later. So looks good, right? And here we can select another language that we want, Chinese. Okay, so one thing that I want to mention that I have pre-downloaded all of these language that I've selected. But for example, I want to translate language that I have not downloaded yet. So when I click this translate, it will present this system sheet where it tells us to basically download the translation. Okay, so let's say if I download, it will wait. Okay, and then this will be cancelled. Okay, so it almost completes. And now let me try to translate. Nice, it's translated to Dutch perfectly. Okay, now let's complete by implementing the redacted view for its translation boolean and also the publish at that using that relative that formatter. Okay, let me close this and let's just implement that. So we need to go to the article card view and we just need to declare two more property. First one is translating. Default value is false and the language to translate the caption publish at this one will be locale.language. Okay, and for this we can simply, so we want to redact the title and description. Okay, show that. So we can use this redacted modifier, and the reason we're going to use ternary in here, basically if the translating is true, okay, we're going to pass placeholder, otherwise we're just going to pass empty array. Okay, this one title, description, and this one as well. Okay, and for the language, so to display the caption, actually it already have this localized caption text. So the default, so it accepts our optional language nil is default. If this nil, it's going to use just English to display the published at time, for example 2 days ago, 3 days ago. Okay, so we just need to pass this language. Okay, add this lang and pass the language. Okay, this, and there's also one from here, language. Okay, now we need to inject this from the article list view in this article card view. So it's translating, we can get this from the store. Okay, and the language we can also get this from the store article detail language computed property. Okay, so let's add this both for detail and list style, and that's it. Now we can try again. Nice. And now let me try to translate to Japanese. Nice. we go that redacted, and it's also updating the published ad using the localized language, which is Japanese. This is amazing, right? Wow. Japanese, Hindi, or if you want Thailand, have pre-downloaded as well. Okay, and that's it for this video. We have successfully implemented the translation to a news API, whether it's using the batch API with custom UI or also the single string translation with the system sheet UI. Okay, and like this video if you like it, and subscribe if you haven't. And thanks for supporting me so far on my journey in XCA YouTube channel. And until the next one, let's keep on being a lifelong learner, and goodbye.